Please welcome Dr. J. Michael DiMaio, a cardiothoracic surgeon and founder of Spectral AI. All of us like an origin story, particularly one that relies on artificial intelligence. What inspired you, Dr. DiMaio, to launch the company and develop the DeepView device?
Well, thank you. The company was co-founded by myself and Jose Melendez. It was based on an unmet clinical need at that time, the beginning, to determine bed sores or predict bed sores before they formed. I got frustrated by turning patients over that were very, very ill, that were in bed for a long time, and found a bed sore without being able to know ahead of time that that was going to happen. So we pursued that for some period of time until the U.S. government, and specifically a group called BARDA, B-A-R-D-A, approached us on whether or not we were interested in pursuing a burn application. This is via Project BioShield and the government's incentive to look at mass casualty events. In collaboration with the U.S. government, we then switched from bed sores to burns. And that's the origin of why we have been pursuing burns with tremendous and positive government support since that time.
And, you know, as with any company that starts out, there's always a lot of hard times early, right? As you learn how to do things. What were some of the early challenges that you faced at Spectral AI when you were getting off the ground?
Well, I can think of many, many interesting events that occurred. Like any young startup, you have dips and valleys that occur with funding sources and all that. And I remember certain times that we were unable to meet payroll for some of the employees, and all the leadership took cuts in pay. We slowed down the payment to the employees until funding resumed. And I must say, we lost no one during those time periods. And once we got the funding resumed, everybody got all the back pay that they were deserved. So I think many founders can tell stories like that with startups, that you have to handle these peaks and valleys, and it's part of the process.
Yeah, well, you've definitely come a long way now with the submission to the FDA. DeepView, as you said, started out to look at bed sores, right? So how has the device evolved over time and changed from what you initially came up with to what you just recently submitted?
That's a good question. So initially we started out, and if you know how medical devices are, which I know you do, you need to figure out what the requirements that you want in a device. And the requirements that we asked for was that it be non-contact, non-laser, to be able to image a wound bed or skin. Mm-hmm. And so with that, we started with a series of experiments looking at what various wavelengths, multispectral imaging, which we've talked about before, and we looked at a number of wavelengths and studied a number of different wounds to predict the maximum and best wavelengths to give us the information back to the device. Number two, we added artificial intelligence, or AI. I must say, way before anybody else was talking about AI. We've been doing that for probably 10 years in the company. So we added the multispectral imaging to the artificial intelligence, so we have an AI-trained algorithm when images are wounded by the device to predict healing.
Okay. And spectral imaging has been used for a long time. I was doing a little bit of reading on the history of it. It's been around for 140 years, something like that, I think. But it was actually only really used widely in the 1960s and 70s when they were doing surveys, land surveys, geographical surveys. And then I think in medicine it was used probably in the 90s for ophthalmology and some other areas like that. So now we've evolved to be using it for burn wounds. So I guess I'm interested to know, why it wasn't used earlier for burn wounds or for diagnosing skin wounds on the skin. What kind of held it back, and why is now the right time for it to be used for that indication?
That's a great question. I think the key words I want everybody to hear is what's called ground truth or training.
Okay.
You can image something, take pictures of something, but what are you looking at? So what we have done is use a multispectral imaging, and then had burn experts take these particular images and look at the wounds in 21 days and go back to the image on day 0 and circle those areas that did or did not heal. That's how you train the algorithm.
Okay.
That's called obtaining the ground truth. So by looking at a wound in 21 days, a burn wound in this case, and then going back to that picture on day 0, you can see what part of that wound was going to heal or not. Then the algorithm becomes smarter and smarter and smarter as you do more wounds in more patients. And that's the key. Just having the tools of multispectral imaging alone doesn't give you a lot of information. It's just colors and pictures. But when you have an image that is shown back on a screen that says this is going to heal or this is not, that assists the physician. And that's
test your
another key
hypotheses.
point. Do what?
You can test your hypotheses.
The
there.
hypotheses.
And
This
you'll
is
see if
telling
they're
you-
true or not.
And this is key because what we call this is decision assist, which is important in AI. The machine is not making a decision. The machine or the device in this case is giving you information, the physician, that tells you to a certain degree of probability that something's going to heal. The final decision is always made by the physician.
Okay. And and I think another thing that may have made now the right time is that there's just an immense amount of data that's generated from spectral analysis. I mean, I think, were there billions of pixels that were considered, I think?
Yes.
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 So I mean, I think it's hard for the human brain to analyze that and come up
Yeah.
with an output.
Yeah.
So you have AI to help you. I guess
Right.
is that how do you see AI kind of allowing the spectral analysis to be easily interpretable?
That's a good point, and I've given talks at AI, and again, AI isn't new, despite it being the hottest topic in the literature today and every
Exactly,
company
yeah.
opening up. But I've given a talk about this, and actually 3 things that made AI practical today. The answer is the price of chips and storage and data transfer all became very quick and very cost effective. So the equations and formulas are not new. The ability to gather, as you said, billions of pixels, store them, process them, transmit the information, that's what makes AI feasible in the current era.